All right, dudes, what's going on? All right, so we're going to get started. I want to know about your projects and I want to see where that you guys are starting them. It needs to be started this week. So if not today, then at least by Wednesday, hopefully. Cool? Um, I'm going to pull up your projects to take a look at them, if you guys can see them, and we'll see what we got. Let's see. Home and science fair project proposal. 10 points. Let's do a speed grader on this thing. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Moani, let's talk about yours first. Is that cool? Is that all right? I don't want to. I'm not singling you out. I'm not trying to point you out or anything. But I do want to make sure I go through everyone's here and talk about, well, what are the projects going to be and how we can all come together and learn about how to help each other on this one. So the comment I gave you is your project has to do something with plants. So what you're interested in is, it looks to me like your proposal initially was, can you build an insulator out of different things? Cool. Now, here's what I think would be really interesting is, can you, I'm wondering if you still want to build an insulator, your project has to do something with plants. Maybe, Moani, what you could do is you could have, you could build an insulator for a plant. Like maybe what you could do is you could see how the different materials could insulate your plant to help it grow in really cold water climates. Does that kind of make sense? And so you would measure out how fast it grows in different, like with different thicknesses of an insulator. And I wouldn't do all different kinds like cotton, cloth, duct tape, bubble wrap, foam, foil. I would choose one. And I would choose one and do different thicknesses. Does that kind of make sense? So like maybe let's choose bubble wrap. Like the thin bubble wrap. Maybe we'll choose the thin bubble wrap. And what we'll do is we'll say, I have 5 potted plants. And on one plant, I'm going to leave completely exposed, no insulation. And on another plant, I'm going to put 1 layer of bubble wrap around the pot or something like that. And maybe around the pot and maybe the top or something. And on another plant, I'm going to put 1 layer or 2 layers of bubble wrap. And the other one, I'm going to put 3 layers of bubble wrap, and then 4 layers of bubble wrap around the plant pot or something like that. And then maybe what you do is you expose the plant to a really cold environment for a certain amount of time. This would work really well if we could go outside. I mean, like if it were snowing outside, if we were doing this experiment in New York or something like that. But maybe you leave it in a really cold environment and you take the temperature of the inside of the plant and the outside of the plant. Or you take the temperature of, in the middle of the plant where the seed is and also outside the plant to see, how the insulation is changing it. And yeah, maybe what you do is every night you put the plants in the refrigerator. That might be interesting because that way it gathers light and energy and heat during the day, but then at night you put it in the refrigerator, but you use different amounts of insulation on it. And I'm wondering if there will be a difference in growth as far as like, will one grow better or one not grow as better as good. Does that? Do you think that would be a better? Like, does that help you? Cool. Yeah, you can change your organizer. Unless, did you come up with a new project on your organizer? I haven't had a chance to grade all of those yet. You like this one better? Okay, that's fine. So come up with the idea. Make sure you put the proposal in the organizer for me. I've changed your points. Yeah, you deserve the 9 points on that one. So I've changed the amount of points that you get. Yeah, that should change. There we go. Um, okay, and then you come up with a new experiment and then start working on it. Maybe Wednesday you want to start your experiment. Sound good? All right, cool. Um, Jonathan, let's talk about yours. I was kind of unclear about your project. It was talking about carrots. Which carrots grow faster? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to cut an inch off the top of the carrot and put the top of the carrot in a paper cup or glass bowl. So it reaches halfway up the carrot finally. So your experiment, Jonathan, is testing out whether or not the bottom of the carrot is touching the um, cup or not. Okay, explain your experiment to me. All right, the carrot on the bottom will have roots growing from the top. Wait, cut off. Okay, so you're saying you're gonna grow a carrot with the like the green leaves that are coming off the top of the carrot, um, whether it's up or down. Is that what you're saying? Hmm. Okay. Okay. I think that's a good one. Do me a favor and do more than just 2 carrots, though. Do at least 5 carrots up and 5 carrots down, or something like that. That way you know you have better data. You know what I mean? Now I have a question. What are you going to measure in this thing? Are you going to measure how long the roots grow, or how high the roots grow? Or I mean, not roots, but a carrot plant grows, or whatever. Okay, so you're going to measure how long the roots grow out of that part of the carrot. Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be a better measurement than how high, because obviously the one that is growing right side up will continue to grow higher, whereas the one that's going upside down might not. But I don't know the answers to these things, so you know, maybe every day you measure the length of the roots that the carrots yielded. Cool. I like it. Quinn, and you don't change the water. That's fine. That's fine if you don't change the water. You just have to make sure you're not changing the water for both of them. One of the things you'll want to do is keep as many of the other variables the same. So Moani, for yours, use all the same plants. And the reason why I said use the same uh, insulation, like you don't need to use bubble wrap, but you could use whatever you want, like a duct tape or the different types of insulation. Just stick with one of them. Because if you change things up, it changes your variables. And when you add too many variables to this thing, it gets way too confusing. What's going on, Michael? We'll talk to you in just a second. Let me talk to, or yeah, so what I'm trying to say is like, you'll want to collect lots of data. So Jonathan, I would recommend using more than one carrot. You'll want to keep the variables the same. So Jonathan, if you're planning on not changing the water for either of those, don't do it for both of them. Don't change the water for one of them and not the other. That's not fair. Does that make sense? Um, but to be honest with you, I kind of would recommend changing the water because if you're going to leave this out on your windowsill for 2 weeks, it's going to get stinky. So you might want to change it every so often, as long as you do it the same to both, and make notes of that in your experiment. Sound good? All right. Um, Let me take a look at Michael's real quick. Which fluid will make it? Oh, I remember. I remember. I thought I put a comment on this one. Anyway, Michael wants to test out which one will make a plant grow faster, pee or water. And I kind of like this experiment, but hmm. Okay, one second. Let me go ask the advice of another teacher. Hold on. Can I ask your advice? All right, Michael. I came up with an answer. Can I talk to you about it real quick? Okay, so check this out. I love your experiment. I think it's great. The problem is the urine, and the problem is storing the urine. Where are you going to keep it that it doesn't get gross? You can't keep it in your refrigerator for fear someone's going to drink it. You can't keep it outside of a refrigerator for fear of it getting gross. Here's what I would recommend, if it's all right with you. What I would do is I would the main component in pee and urine is ammonia. And you remember when you guys came up, or I think, was it you who came to the school and you guys were able to test out, like, I let you guys waft ammonia. It's incredibly terrible smelling. It will really, mess with you if you stick your nose in it and really sniff it. Anyway, what I would recommend is I would say go to Walmart and buy a bottle of ammonia. It's like $1.60 for a big bottle, like a half gallon of the stuff or a gallon of the stuff. Okay, it's not expensive at all. You can buy pure ammonia, ammonia, and I got mine at Walmart. I remember getting it for this class actually, and that is the effective ingredient in urine. That's essentially what is in urine. So maybe what you could do is get 5 different plants, and every day you feed each plant with the same amount of fluid, but you vary the concentration of ammonia that's in it. Does that make sense? So get 5 of the same exact size plants, okay? And maybe you say, I'm going to fill up a half cup of water, okay? And that's how much fluid I'm going to fill up each plant with. So for one of those plants, you only use pure water, half cup, every day. Does that make sense? It's called ammonia, ammonia. It stinks. It stinks real bad. But if you have it closed up, it's not bad at all. Cool. So what I would do is I would have one plant where I'm feeding it pure water every day, and then I would have one plant where I'm feeding it pure ammonia every day. So I just take the ammonia and I, however much the concentration of that ammonia is, you fill it the exact same as what you did with water, but you did with ammonia. And then for the other cups, because I told you 5 different plants, I would use I would go different ratios of ammonia. So maybe do a 50-50 ammonia thing, where one of them you're feeding half of, you take if you're using half a cup of water, then you fill in a quarter cup of ammonia and a quarter cup of water, and you mix that together. And so it's like diluted ammonia. Does that make sense? And then for another plant, maybe you do 1/8 of a cup of ammonia and then 3/8 of a cup of water. So it's like 25% diluted ammonia. And then every day you pour this liquid into the plants. Now, usually the liquid goes right through the plants, and the liquid comes out the bottom. Make sure that they're not cross-contaminating. Like, make sure you guys don't put all the pots in the same tray. So, if you so wish, you can even do ammonia and put in a little bit of yellow food coloring, to add to the gross factor of it, so that it feels more like urine. But I mean, I really like your experiment because to be honest with you, my kids pee on my plants sometimes, and I'm wondering what that does to it. The only worry I would have is the health risk. Does that make sense? All right, cool. Yeah, my kids. But I mean, like, I like this idea of varying the amounts of ammonia and the concentrations because what's nice about that experiment is that you can have the acidity of your urine, you can control the acidity of it, you can control the different variables of it to be exact, precise measurements. Whereas if you're urinating on your plants every day and then watering the other ones every day, it's not. I mean, it depends on like what you ate, and also how are you going to control exactly how much fluid one gets and the other one gets? Are you going to pee in a cup and then measure out water for the exact same cup and then pour it in? No, just use ammonia. It's the same thing. It will test the same thing, the same effective ingredients. It's like a pee substitute. Sound good? Cool. Um, who was going to do something like that? Somebody else was going to do ammonia one? Oh, Moani. Moani, you can change yours if you want. I kind of like that insulation one, but you can change yours. Okay, question. Josh Knight and Quinn. I think you guys are doing a very similar project, so I want to know what are the ins and outs of your project? Can you guys hear me? All right, Quinn, what is your project all about? Now, the reason why I'm spending time doing this in class today is because I want to give you guys time to talk about what are your projects, what are you guys going to be working on, and all that kind of stuff. So I want you guys to get started now. And this is Quinn's, I think. Grow only in waterlogged environments. Plants usually. Is there some sort of tool you can have to measure water quality? Okay. Um, let me go check because yeah. One second. Let me go find something. Quinn, I would say this. Let's see. I would say I would go buy an aquarium test kit, like a water quality aquarium test kit. Let's see. I don't know how much they are, but let's see if I can take a look. Water quality aquarium testing test kit, Walmart. All right, water quality aquarium test kit at Walmart looks like it's between $5 and $20. Cool. All right. So I like your idea. So I guess what you're testing is if duckweed really grows well in a water, is that an indicator that it's a good quality water? Is that what you're doing? Okay, cool. And then how are you getting your dirty water or your low quality water? Because I also have some of those bacteria growth test kits that you can use as well. You know the ones we used at FilterFest, the bacteria ones? So I'll tell you what, why don't you do this? Why don't you go and find an aquarium test kit, and then I'll also give you a few packs of those bacteria tests. So at the end of your experiment, you can indeed confirm that this is a low quality water versus this is a high quality water. Does that make sense? So you do your experiment, and then on one side you can say, okay, this is a real low quality water because look at all the bacteria that grew inside of this. And I used the bacteria test kit to see if that was indeed the case. Whereas this is a real high quality water, like maybe Menehune filtered water or something like that. All right. So make sure you come down and grab those from me when you get a chance. Michael, did you have a question? I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Okay, Eric, I got a question. And Chelsea, I need to talk to you too. Looks like other people are slowly trickling in. Eric, what is your project that you're going to be doing? So that's what today's class is about today. Is all I'm doing is I'm going through people's projects and I want to kind of help them refine their project and talk about each project. All right. So Eric's project, he really wanted to do something. Yeah, if you have your project and you know what you're doing, you can leave. Unless you're confused a little about certain things, then what you can do is you can stay and listen to me talk about other students about their projects, so that way we can get a better idea of how to do your project. But if you've already got one and you know what you're going to do and you have a plan, start it up. Michael, change the urine part to ammonia. And I would go with different concentrations of ammonia. But I think it's a good one. Yeah, you guys can go. All right, Eric, can you hear my voice? Ammonia. And Chelsea, can you hear my voice? Looks like Eric left. All right, awesome. Chelsea, what did we save for you? Okay. You didn't submit a proposal for your project for you didn't submit a proposal for your project. Do you have an idea, or do you need help figuring out um, your thing? Okay. Oh, I get it. Michael, you're talking about pneumonia, and pneumonia, I think, is one of those really weird words that is spelled with a ph. I know it's weird. All right, Chelsea, you need your project. I need you to start up on it this week. So I want you to type in Science Buddies plants into Google and go to this website that looks like this. This is a good place to start. I had an idea for a terrarium. It would demonstrate the water cycle with plants. Yeah. No, I like the idea of a terrarium, but that's not a scientific question. A terrarium is like an enclosed environment for plants, right? Hmm. I like this terrarium. I got an idea. All right, let's see. Do you live in a place where you can pot a plant? Do you have a backyard or a balcony? Okay, all right. Here's what we do. Your backyard is a mini putt? That's cool. You know what I kind of want to do with yours? I would build two terrariums. They're their own little contained environments. Put them in all right, so you have two of them already, yeah? So you already have two of them? Okay, all right. Make two terrariums. And then, do they cover? Are they covered? Okay, cool. So they can close. They have a cover to them? Awesome, awesome. So maybe what you could do is you can do two terrariums, and maybe one of them you put bugs inside. Another one you don't. You find the same species of bugs and you put them all inside. And then you compare how they grow. But you have to have the same maturity of plants and put them inside, and then they'll grow, and then you compare the bugs to the non-bugs. I like the terrarium idea because it cuts out a lot of the other variables. You use the same. Yeah, you can even use earthworms. I bought earthworms from a lady recently, and maybe you can see how earthworms grow or how plants thrive or don't thrive in things that fill with earthworms. or crickets. That'd be cool. Yeah, I would do that. Now for crickets, I would use something with an air hole, so it has, um, so that it has means of getting air. I would put food in them, but here's the thing: put food in both of them. So you're gonna want to put food in both of them, even though there's no animals in one of them, because that's a variable that you don't want to be adding. One of them is getting an extra nutrients of a piece of food or something like that. To be honest, you make sure your crickets don't eat your plants. So choose your bug according to what it eats. Maybe one of them use cockroaches or something. I don't know. Or earthworms. Yeah, yeah. You can actually buy earthworms from. I looked it up. There's this place in Honolulu where this lady sells like hundreds of earthworms that you can buy. Just look it up. I think it's called. I just looked up earthworm Oahu. The lady's real nice. Earthworms Oahu. I think it's called Kokua worms or something like that. Yeah, Kokua worms right here. This lady sells worms for a certain amount. My recommendation is get probably don't. My recommendation is maybe ask the lady, tell the lady about the project you're doing, and ask her if she can give you some dirt as well, because it's not a whole lot of dirt that needs to happen, right? That you need, and the reason being is because if you go out and buy like potting soil or that kind of stuff, the chemicals in that fertilizer might kill the earthworms. Yeah, yeah. In fact, I bought like 12 earthworms from this lady, and don't tell her this, but I killed them all because I put them inside of a plant that had fertilized soil, and I think it killed them all like within a day. So make sure that you are careful with that. But this lady sells like these worms, like these composting worms for $10 an ounce, and you get like hundreds of these things for $10. Or you can buy the traditional earthworms for potted plants for 25 cents per worm. So it's like $3 for 12 of them. Cool. And ask the lady if you can have some extra dirt, or which dirt you should use to make your terrarium. I like that idea of a terrarium. Its own sustainable environment. You need to water it the same amount every day. You need to feed the earthworms every day, or like I think that the lady said that the earthworms really like coffee. So sprinkle a little bit of coffee in there for an extra treat for them. But if you sprinkle coffee in one of them, you better sprinkle coffee in the other thing as well, even though there's no earthworms in that. All right, cool. So I think that we've covered as much as I could about like where your projects are at, and I want to get a report on how you guys are doing later. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, so really, Chesney, what you're testing is not terrarium, but earthworms, and how does earthworms affect the growth of a plant? And the reason why you're doing this, the reason why you need to build a terrarium is because if you just have like potted plants, then the earthworms are going to escape. But since you have um, since you have a terrarium with a glass jar and everything, the earthworms will not escape. I like it. Okay, good. Can you get started on it this week? Awesome. And I'll tell you what I'll do. Since we've talked about this, I'm going to give you 8 out of 10 on that assignment. Hopefully that graded it. That way you don't have to worry about that grade now. Okay, cool. All right, is that everybody? Josh, can you hear my voice? Josh hasn't had your microphone up, so I'm not sure if you can hear me. But I don't know what I can do to help you out with that. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys come up with. All right, talk to you later. Bye.